Hi guys. So I want to share this video by the Ice Age Farmer. Um, it's called US Rep Food Shortages Are Coming, Crops Destroyed, and UK Limits Purchases. Um, yeah. So what I've been saying on my channel is, and dreams I've had, is food shortages are coming. And it's just the news of it is developing so quickly, and now we have state representatives talking about that it's coming. And I was listening to this video, and Governor Newsom here in California has passed a bunch of regulation or laws about the farm laborers being tested, and they're protesting their jobs. They don't want to catch coronavirus because a lot of farmhands have come down with the virus, I guess. But California, and like I said in previous videos, we are living off of last year's crops. Now, I was raised in the country and in little tiny towns that are country towns. My mother was raised on a ranch. My grandmother, my great-grandfather had a ranch. They had a dairy. I was raised around all this stuff, crops, and my papa owned vineyards and peaches and walnuts, and then my great-grandfather and grandfather did the dairy, and his brothers had dairies. And so I was raised around this stuff and just farming and ranching. And, I went to school with kids that I grew up with. Their parents all had ranches and dairies and farms, and I'm from a farming town. And never once in my whole life did I ever think that the odds would be stacked against farmers and dairies and ranchers, to where they would have to, shut their farms down, or there wouldn't be employment, or there wouldn't be people, you know what I'm saying? Here about, I don't know, 20 years ago, I spent my life driving through outside of town and stuff. I mean, you drive from one little town to the next, and all you're passing is grapes, peaches, walnuts, dairies, tons and tons and tons of cattle, fields for miles, and all you see is cattle. And probably in the last 20 years, they pulled out a lot of peaches and other crops to put in almonds. I mean, hundreds of thousands of acres of almonds. They've taken out ranches, beef cattle, to plow their fields over and get a contract with Blue Diamond Almonds and put in almonds. There used to be places where you could drive for hours and not see anything, just open fields, and now they're turning it all into almonds. Before my grandmother passed away, there's almost 1,000 acres out there or something, but she put a contract, and let them put in almonds on her property. It's like a 25-year lease or something. I don't know. But it's for this whole production going towards the almond milk. Everybody wants almond milk, or almond this, or almond that, and almond meal, and they use it for flour and stuff. But California is so diverse The Central Valley is so diverse in everything that it grows, as far as milk and cattle and nuts and fruits and vegetables. And, we have like, over by the ocean, they grow garlic and artichokes. And, along the coast, they grow the more cold weather crops, oranges and apples and cherries and things like that. And in the Central Valley, and then you have the dairies and it's just so diverse. And ranches are failing because of this whole, it's all by design, you guys. It's just nuts to see everything unfold. And then the video here, he's talking about how Rockefeller has put into place this agenda of calling it the new food something or other. I don't know. I'm going to play this video for you, but food shortages are coming. Ranches are shutting down. There's only like 2 ranches here in California that are allowed to put their meat on the market. All the other ones got shut down. It's crazy. It's like Harris Ranch beef and something else. And they're dumping their milk out. The fields. I see, just this past summer, I've saw so many grapevines being yanked out and almond orchards being yanked out, and they weren't even old. The farmers will yank out their stuff like maybe every 30 years. But these crops had only been in there probably for like 6 or 7 years. And I've never saw a rancher do that before, or a farmer do that before. It was really weird. And they yanked out a lot this last summer. I don't know, you guys. And China's over there flooding. Their crops are failing. We get a lot of stuff from China. A lot of food, rice and things like that. Anyway, it's all by design. And Newsom and Pelosi and all them, they could give a rat's behindy about the farmers or the ranchers, and they've fallen through the cracks. And it's our food supply. And they've been attacking the farmers and the ranchers for the past 10 years really hard. Taxing them if they're cow farts. The Bay Area, the city people, they move into the country and they can't stand to smell the dairy next door. They want their big, beautiful house out in the middle of nowhere, but they don't want to smell a cow fart. Oh, let's tax them. It's polluting the air. Really? You're polluting the air, not the cow. It's just nuts. But it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And now with this virus and everything, it's by design. It's by design. It's to bring all the Americans into control. But we know God's not going to let this continue. Well, let's take a listen.
From the latest attacks on food production by some evil governors who need to be removed from office promptly, to the UK announcing that they will use the army to help secure grocery stores and enforce mask wearing, to sitting members of U.S. Congress warning that we are about to experience food shortages. We need to have some conversations today. Let's do that. I'm Christian, and this is the Ice Age Farmer broadcast.
None of the lending facilities established have targeted the needs of our agriculture industry. Now, why do I mention that? Food. It's coming. I can't see why people can't see this crisis. Food shortages are coming. It's almost like the farmers have been the forgotten ones. All the food chain is going down. You hear about the closures. The food processors are going out. Farmers are coming. These are small, most of them, but they're very important. Why can't they be qualified as small businesses? Where are they? They're getting lost in the shuffle. And if we get a food shortage,
Yes, only they're not forgotten, are they? In fact, they are explicitly targeted, farmers, ranchers, as something that we need to.
Okay, so okay, so the government is not looking at them as like a legit business, brick and mortar businesses. So they are not able to recover because they're not able to fill out for stimulus package to, the money. There's so much money the governments are putting aside for this business and that and that and the other. But the farmers are falling through the cracks, they're saying, because they can't qualify for stimulus help to get bailed out, which I think is a bunch of baloney. And I think it's by design to put us all into peril and bring us into this new world order type of thing. Take the step more directions into the new world order.
Eliminate, as described by the Rockefeller Foundation's Reset the Table plan. This document, part of the great
Rockefeller, he's Illuminati. Okay, he's reset the table plan. Really? It's nuts.
Reset that we're all experiencing, enjoying right now, describes the intention of eliminating farming and ranching as you and I have known it and replacing it with these synthetic lab-grown meat, insect protein, indoor farms. It's pretty ridiculous and dystopic, but they have agents in positions of power executing on that agenda right now, one of whom is Governor Inslee in Washington, who took it to a whole new level this past week. Instead of just shutting down farming, he literally committed an act of agricultural terrorism by taking apples from the governor's mansion to East Washington, the actually productive areas of his state, for which he holds nothing but utter contempt, perhaps because they're more conservative. These apples that he brought with them to make people feel better, look at this political stunt, mask on, baskets of bioweapons in hand that he passed out. Now the Washington Agricultural Division is actively trying to get these apples back because they were infected with apple fly maggots that he took them out of a quarantine area into the most productive agricultural land in his state.
Bringing produce over a border is serious business. You can't, there's regulations of things. If you get on the internet and you try to buy an apple tree and it says prohibited in these states, is because one fly could get in and knock out a whole crop. One pest could get in and knock out a whole crop. That's not, these trees aren't disease or bug resistant to other certain crop trees that come in across the borders and things like that. So yeah, he did a big no-no there.
And risks all of the apple orchards there. So just really kind of blatant and iconic. It's quite representative of the attacks that they're committing at all levels. But let's look at the legislative level. Here in California, Governor Newsom signed a pair of bills this past week, which accomplishes two things chiefly. First, it expands the testing for COVID-19 that is available to farm workers. The tests that, as you and I now know, have a 90% false positive rate, but notwithstanding that, if anyone tests positive, even if it's totally fake, now farms and other employers are being required by law to disclose these fallacious test results to everyone else that works on the farm or in any workplace. Of course, this will have the effect of shutting down farms, the intended effect, I should say. We've already seen this happen, farm workers going on strike after they learned via TV reports that some of their colleagues had coronavirus. So in doing this, he's forcing more tests out there to get more false positives and then forcing the farms to tell everyone else about these false positives, which will shut down the farms. I hope that's very clear. And of course, we saw the same thing happening in Michigan, where Governor Whitmer requires now testing for farm workers. And so they're just leaving. And we read here, dozens of farm workers leaving unpicked fields and orchards behind. They're shutting down the food production. So that's what's going on. And that's why time and time again, we see that somehow, while Amazon and Walmart are just fine, Black Lives Matter rallies, not a problem, but farms, food production, meat plants, Somehow these are always the hot spots. Look at this. The country's most productive farmland, now one of the worst COVID-19 hotspots. Yakima County, the west.
Yeah, the Central Valley. Did you see? And it's true. This summer harvesting season, I've drove past many fruit trees that weren't harvested, fields that weren't harvested, nut trees that weren't harvested. Just yesterday, John and I went to town and I was looking at almond trees and I'm like, haven't they harvested those yet? No, they were all the crop, dripping with bounty, was still sitting on the trees.
Coast's COVID-19 hotspot. Almost depends where you are. They'll just point at the farms and say that's it right there. Well, if you're in Maryland, that's those poultry plants, coronavirus hotspots. If you're in New York, it's those greenhouses, hotspot for coronavirus. Michigan, all the COVID-19 cases come from the farms. You see, it doesn't really matter where you are. It's where the food is coming from, and that's where the hotspot is. And it's working. Ladies and gentlemen, farmers are feeling the effects. They need their labor right now most when it's harvest season. Sugar beets are one example here that we're described. It's all about timing. You have only a few days to harvest all of those sugar beets and get them stacked. And here's another case, $100,000 of lettuce destroyed. This is in Australia, where the same sort of a tale is playing out. Perth farmer had to plow through 100,000 lettuces into the ground because he had no workers to harvest it. See, this isn't just noise that I'm making. This is actually happening, and food is actually getting destroyed right now. We always hear, oh, there's so much food in America or wherever, you'll never go hungry. That may be true. We have tons of production. But if we can't even harvest the food, we have real problems. And we'll see they're bracing for food shortages. So this is very sad, and it goes on to say that the same thing will happen to his cauliflower, broccoli, celery, and spinach very soon as well. And so now we look to the UK, where the latest, Bojo is out there putting new lockdown procedures into place. There have been also these reports in the media about panic buying. And I mentioned this on Twitter, where I often float a lot of intel to see what kind of response we get. And what I heard in this case was, there was no panic buying going on. I heard from people in England and Scotland. They said this is completely made up. But nonetheless, the media has continued to push this story this week. And then as a response to this fake problem reaction solution, they've rolled out again rationing. So now Morrison's has started rationing. The items they mention in this article are toilet paper. It's not food, basically. It's just bleach and toilet paper. But if you go check it out on Twitter, they actually talk about canned foods and some other food items that are now being rationed as.
Yeah, they're lying. It's not just toilet paper and everything. You can already see it happening. And there are sellers that are on Amazon. If you go into Amazon or Walmart and you type in Denison chili, mostly on Amazon, they have a case of it, like 6 cans. They want to sell it to you for $36. They already have it sitting in their stores online waiting for a second round. Beans. They want to sell you 13 bean soup mix for like $18 a bag. And of course no one's going to buy it right now, but it's there. It's there and waiting. Especially the number 10 cans of food, like mixed vegetable, dehydrated this, dehydrated that, man, it's outrageous. And they know it's coming. Like my previous video, when I shared the whole thing the Lord showed me about the sweet potatoes, root crops, it's going to be hard to find these things. And when you do, if you do find it, the prices are going to be outrageous. It's going to be like, trying to find chocolate on a deserted island in the ocean. I don't know. But many, 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 many of us have had dreams by God to stock up. and a second round is coming. Now I can't tell you how much we'll have to go through, how much we're going to see, how much we're going to be living. I don't know. I don't know when the rapture's going to happen. But if God is telling people to stock up and showing people dreams of the military and this and that and the other thing, I pay attention because I know who I hear from. Yeah, so, okay.
Well, there's also one key critical piece down here at the bottom. ASDA also said on Wednesday it is introducing 1,000 safety marshals at stores to reinforce the face masks and social distancing for shoppers. And as I mentioned, and as was covered here in the Telegraph, to help enforce these new safety measures, England will be deploying the army. It will be on hand to support the police to close down businesses that fail to force shoppers to wear their face masks. So suddenly, this gives a lot more credence to this pattern of armed guards at grocery stores and at farmers markets, this militarization of the food supply. And while we saw a lot of coverage of this in the United States back in March, when the initial food rationing and this big hubbub was going down, if you actually look into it, this has continued. August 28th, why do you have armed security guards in your store? Why are you militarizing grocery shopping?
We still have armed security guards at our stores here. They stand out, the doors of the store and just guard. I think it's really odd. And Lashara Pinckney had a dream of she was standing in a grocery store and she was looking at water and V8 juice. And she heard, and this is after the first round, and she heard the Lord say, stock up. And I guess her son really likes V8 juice. And then she said she saw, I think this is the same dream, that she saw like underneath of the Walmart or in a basement or something, underneath the grocery store, there were pallets and pallets and pallets of water, and they were being guarded by military. And the military, and she said there was tons and tons of people waiting to get this water. And the military was waiting for word to pass this water out. So you see, things are right on the verge of, crap could hit the fan soon. I don't know. But better to share these things than people be caught off guard when it does happen.
Exactly. That's what's going on. Here's another one. Sam's Club now has armed security guards at the entrance. Why? Well, the story is to enforce masks, to enforce social distancing, but clearly they're establishing armed police presence at points of food distribution. Here's another. My neighborhood grocery store now has an armed guard. My grocery store just got an armed guard for the first time. There goes the neighborhood. And you're supposed to avoid eye contact. Only
A woman, I heard, was it yesterday, the day before, a woman at a grocery store did not have her mask, and she was tasered and tackled to the ground and arrested.
Make one run through the store. It helps now that the store has an armed guard to ensure compliance with the COVID-19 restrictions. And I covered in a previous report that there were now police kettling people, pushing them around basically at a market in Australia. And I got a lot of heat from people who were saying, Christian, this is nonsense. The police are only there to enforce social distancing and to make sure people are wearing masks. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot help you if you are still buying into the idea that this is all for your safety. If you think that, look, they're pushing people into a single concentrated blob. That doesn't have anything to do with social distancing. And even more concerningly, the reports have continued to come out. Here is one video that came out of a French farmer's market where the police just came on the scene and then started shooting tear gas. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so I posted it to my backup channel, Ice Age Farmer Resources, and asked the question, what is going on here? And nobody has a good answer, except this actually did happen. It's pretty concerning out there, ladies and gentlemen. We all need to be growing our own food right now and preparing for the food shortages that they have planned in the very near future.
Well, growing season's pretty much over, but that's what's going on. Don't just shrug it off. Don't just shrug it off. Pay attention. It's by design. You know, I was telling John, I'm like, isn't it weird how these fast food places start coming out with plant-based burgers right before the coronavirus hits? It's like these people know. They're all they're all wealthy and rubbing arms together. And they know what's going to happen. Someone, you know, very wealthy tips them off. Oh, you own 1,000 Burger Kings in California? Well, let's let Joe in on what's going to be happening and, you know, get the plant-based burgers out because meat's about to, you know, it's going to be all bad. Let's get Uber and all these, you know, these people that own these corporations are very wealthy. DoorDash and let's get these things all set into place before all heck breaks loose by design. So the people have a way to get back and forth and get their food and get their groceries, and it's just crazy. And then you walk in the grocery store and you see, in this grocery store next to me is plant-based burger patties. They're everywhere. It's all soy meat now. It's just nuts, you guys. But anyway, I wanted to share this with you guys, and I love you, and take heed, and you know, pray about it, and I love you, and God bless you.